Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is everything clear? Supposed to be loud and clear. How are you doing, guys? Welcome to the Freedom is Not Free channel. My name is Stan, and today I'm in this beautiful park which is called Da'an Senlin Gongyuan, Da'an Forest Park, right in the center of Taipei. And it looks a little bit like the New York City Central Park. It was actually, like, its project was to look similar to the New York City's Central Park, but it's not as big. Still, you have the similar vibes of like very busy city around it, some some high rises, skyscrapers, and hustling and bustling, and it's also like it's pretty square, and there is a lake right in the center of this forest park. And what is interesting about this place, there is a saying that it is being protected by all kinds of saints, as there is a biggest Catholic church right next to this park. Then there is a very big Lutheran church, Baptist church, and there is a mosque, and of course there are Buddhist and Tao temples all around the park. So wherever you go, wherever you look, there's going to be something religious protecting it. So it's a very nice place. And today it's probably, well, it's pretty calm here, and we can talk about the pleasant topic of the World War III that has already started. And I think there are, because as you probably know, I've been living in Taiwan for a very long time. Right now I'm in between Europe, Taiwan, and the US. And recently many of the Taiwanese TV shows invite me to give my perspectives, as I also do like human rights research, and I'm also a public speaker here, and I do political analysis, provide political commentary. If we look at the current development of the affairs and the state that the world is in right now, we're not on the verge of the World War III, but we are right in the middle of the World War III. And I would like to spend like most of my time during this live stream to talk about it. We'll also have like a short walk around the park. There are beautiful birds around it. I think that's a crane, and like there's a white crane like right next. Let me see if I can switch my camera. Yeah, over there. I don't know if you see it, but it's a very beautiful bird. And yeah, I have arrived 2 days ago. I'm very tired. It was a very difficult flight for me. I took that Turkish Airlines flight from Europe, and like on the way to Istanbul, everything was fine. But that plane that took me from Istanbul to Taipei, I was sitting right next to the lavatory, right next to the bathroom. It was very smelly, and I tried to like. The chair, like the seat right in front of me, it was faulty, and I couldn't like place my bag or anything like in the spot like in front of me. It was terrible, like probably one of the worst experiences I have ever had on the plane. And right now that's why I have some brain fog and not feeling very in the right mood for anything serious. So just no videos. Let's just have a conversation, a friendly conversation about the state of affairs right now. Why did I say that we are right in the middle of the World War III? Because people are saying that the World War might start, but it is not probably about the beginning of the World War, but more of the larger involvement of the Communist China in the World War III. Because if we look at the previous World War, it also started from Europe, when Poland was invaded, first by Germany, then by the Soviet Union. And then the war just was spreading around Africa, and then the Pacific, and like all around the world, right? Right now, we already have a big war in Europe, in Ukraine, with Russia invading this independent and beautiful country of Ukraine. Ukraine didn't do anything to provoke, or they didn't attack Russia. They didn't do anything. They were just living their lives and it was like an unprovoked aggression, like similar to what the Nazi Germany did to Poland in 1939, and the Soviet Union later on also to Poland. And we also have a war in the Middle East, with Israel being attacked not only by the Hamas terrorists, but also by some groups from Yemen and Lebanon, and also missiles are being fired from Iran to Israel. So it's also a big war, and it's also a part of the world theater of war. We also have North Korean troops in Europe right now that are fighting for Russia in Ukraine. And there have been some rumors online that Kim Jong-un is going to send 100,000 more people to Ukraine to fight against Ukraine. So we also have that. Isn't that the world war? And who is behind those forces in Russia, in North Korea, in Iran? It's China. Communist China is sponsoring everything that's going on, all the attacks against Israel, all the attacks against Ukraine. They're supporting them directly and indirectly. Then, if we're talking about the Pacific theater, when the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln has left the Philippine Sea, and it was the first time when they moved it from the Indo-Pacific area to the Middle East, to the Mediterranean, to next to Israel. What did China do? They attacked the Philippines at the time. So right now we also have like very aggressive expansionist China that is not only involved in coercion, buying media, propaganda, technology theft, and very unfair competition against the free countries, including the United States or the European Union members or Taiwan. But we're also having China that is constantly having military drills around Taiwan, constant provocations and constant attacks against the democratic country of Taiwan. So this is also that. There's also war for the microchips, for technology, and with the new US administration and the new sanctions being implemented, I think we can spend some time talking about the microchip sector here in Taiwan and how do the people perceive the new upcoming administration in the United States, because there are voices both in support of them and also against them, and saying that there might be not beneficial to Taiwan, even though Trump was probably one of the most pro-Taiwan presidents that the United States ever had. I'm talking about his first term from 2016 to 2020, when it started with him accepting actually the phone call from the former president of Taiwan, Ms. Tsai Ing-wen. When she called him, he accepted the congratulations, and then there was the Taiwan Travel Act. Then it was bipartisan, of course. Then there were the most up-to-date military equipment was provided to Taiwan during Trump's administration. Then they have lifted the self-imposed restrictions. It was during the Secretary Pompeo's time. So yeah, Trump was very pro-Taiwan, and the people that are working and are going to work with Trump this time, they're also very pro-Taiwan. Let me give you an example, like Marco Rubio. Whenever there is a pro-Taiwan act in the United States Congress, it's either sponsored by Rubio or drafted by Rubio. Rubio is taking part in, he's supporting most of the pro-Taiwan initiatives. And he's from the family of Cuban immigrants. He knows what does it mean to live in a totalitarian state like the communist China or like Castro's Cuba. So yeah, of course he's very supportive of Taiwan, and he will be the new Secretary of State in the US. Then there is also Mike Waltz, the former Green Beret, who is going to be the National Security Advisor, which is also it's related to the foreign policy. Then we also have Pete Hegseth, like the new head of the Department of Defense. And if you have read his book called The War on Warriors, it's a very good book. I'm talking about all the problems within the United States military. and how the DEI focus and like when the US's military was focused on the wrong things, basically not on how to maintain a stronger army and project the force and to let the world know like that America is the leader of the free world, but rather focusing on issues like climate change or DEI. Yeah, so we have that, and we have a guy who is opposing that and who is going to actually make the United States Army become as strong as it used to be. Well, at least that's what he proposed, and I think it was in the chapter. It's either 11 or 12 of the book, The War on Warriors. He was talking about actually renaming the Department of Defense into the Department of War, as it used to be called before, because the United States Army is fighting the wars, and they are actually working on different missions all around the world. So we have that. Then also a lot of rhetoric opposing the current state of the United Nations and other international organizations that are being coerced by the CCP, by China. So yeah, we have a person who understands what's going on in the world. We had that. Also, I mean, most of the members of the upcoming Doug Burgum, also very pro-Taiwan and also very supportive of Ukraine. We have people that understand that currently the biggest danger to the free world is coming from the communist China. And the focus of the United States foreign policy will be shifting from Europe, Middle East, more towards the Indo-Pacific area. We have that. So for Taiwan, I think it's good news for Taiwan, even though there are many, because I'm very involved in Taiwanese media and I know like the whole situation that's going on here. There have been a lot of leftist voices in Taiwan, and people support like many of the initiatives of the Democrat Party. And there have been a lot of criticism towards Trump, but I think it's just temporary. That's temporary. When after the inauguration, a lot of things will change. And as for Taiwan, the U.S. is the key partner. So I don't think that my American friends should have like any doubts about Taiwanese people supporting the upcoming administration. Whoever is in power in the U.S. is a friend of Taiwan, and that's the only thing that Taiwan can do just to protect itself, because the country is on the verge of it's under constant provocations and on the verge of being invaded by the CCP, by the CCP around China. And that's why, that's one of the things that Taiwan should be focused on. Make the defense its top priority. Because right now, the problem is that the current military budget in Taiwan, it's only 2.45% of the GDP. That's for the 2025, and many people that are influential in the United States, especially like on the Republican side of the political spectrum, they said that that's not enough. And look at Poland. Poland is facing challenges that are also serious challenges, of course, but not as serious as what Taiwan is facing, because the key challenger and the key opponent of Poland in Europe, it would be Russia, of course. And Poland's GDP is more or less the same as the Taiwanese GDP. The two countries are like, if you look at the world chart, it's going to be like 24 and 25, and it depends. Like there are some years when Poland's GDP is a little bit higher, there are some years when Taiwan's GDP is a little bit higher. But Poland's military budget is 5%. 5% of the GDP, and Taiwan is 2.45. That's less than a half. And people like Elbridge Colby, who are very influential, like with the upcoming administration, like he recently said that Taiwan has to take seriously its defense, and I agree with him like 100%. There are many problems that Taiwan is facing. It's not only the military budget that is not high enough. That there is also a problem with the infiltration by the CCP. When you look at Taiwanese legislature, and the KMT party and the Taiwan's People Party occupying so many seats in the parliament. And there have been scandals of people actually selling secrets, but people working in the Taiwanese parliament, in the legislature, selling basically secrets of different military secrets, including there was that leak by a legislator from Nantou, Ma Wenjun. Her name is Ma Wenjun. She leaked the data on Taiwanese submarines that Taiwan is producing by itself. Or there is another also KMT legislator, Xu Qiaoxing, who also leaked the data on Taiwan, Ukraine, and the Czech Republic cooperation. So there is that, and that's a serious problem. And you see that the administration has changed. In the US, it used to be like under Biden. I don't agree with the Democrats on many issues, especially like on the military development and on the single fact that you can cooperate and still compete with China. It is not possible. And with those totalitarian countries, they perceive your willingness to cooperate as weakness. You should not project weakness towards these countries. And this is what we've been having for 4 years already. Those constant meetings. Okay, after the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal, what followed? Do you guys remember? Of course, everybody remembers. Ukraine was invaded. And what happened before Ukraine was invaded? There were constant dialogues and constant meetings between Putin and Biden and people from the Biden administration. Basically, that's very similar. You can look at Biden's administration as a certain continuation and extension of Obama's administration, because many people, they came back. They used to be in the Obama's administration, then they came to Biden's. Like John Kerry, like the guy who was like for the climate, he was the former Secretary of State under Obama. Yep. And the same thing in 2014 when Ukraine was invaded, he came to Russia many times. They had different conversations with their foreign minister. It was with John Kerry. And what happened then? Crimea got occupied, right? Then Russia established its own military base in Syria. It was also under Obama's administration. So it was basically the US was projecting weakness at that time, right? Same thing under Biden. Basically, same thing under Biden. After Ukraine was invaded, there was also they wanted to cooperate with Iran. The cooperation with Iran, what was the result of that? Hamas got money and attacked Israel. So we have the Middle East, we have Ukraine, we have Afghanistan, and constant cooperation and constant dialogue with China. I know many people in the Democrat Party and the Democrat supporters, and they see that, there are so many areas that are still, that there is some room for cooperation, for dialogue with China, but this is wrong, because there is no such thing as, for example, private enterprises in China. Of course, they're private, but in every big company, in every single big company, there is a CCP official. And for example, TikTok. TikTok's headquarters are in Beijing. And it doesn't matter if you use Douyin or TikTok, because when you sign that you agree to terms and conditions, there is, I think it's like Article 10, don't remember the exact number, that they can exchange information within the group of companies, including the company in Beijing. And in that company in Beijing, there is the Communist Party official. And the guy, Zhou Shouzi, he used to hold the communist flag, go to Beijing's headquarters, and he's still running the company. He lied under oath in the Congress during that congressional hearing. So there are a lot of problems like that that are problems. And what we have seen is the United States government projecting weakness to China, to Russia, and that's why the world is, and also militarily focusing on some very unimportant like DEI in the military. I think that we shouldn't take care about the diversity, inclusion. We should only care about one thing, is if our armies can fight. I think that's a very obvious thing. It's not a university campus. It's also not a TV station. It's not also a private enterprise. It's the army. They have the single responsibility to fight for us and to protect us. So yeah, that was that thing. Under Trump, I think that things will change and will become a little bit more common sense, like at least the Department of Defense wise. And this is some good news for Taiwan. For the microchip sector, I think there is a lot of misinterpretation and misunderstanding of what the Republicans are talking about with the tariffs. Like, I know people on the level say, oh yeah, but those companies that do imports, they will have to pay the tariffs. Of course they will have to pay the tariffs, but that's the point. You impose tariffs to encourage your people to invest within the states that cooperate with you, that have good relations with you. You have tariffs against China, that means invest in America, invest in Taiwan, like anywhere else. Invest within the democratic world. This is what you're supposed to do. And right now, yeah, we see like very unwillingly the Taiwanese companies are actually cutting ties with China, starting with TSMC, who said that they will not be even receiving orders for the microchips, the high-grade microchips that are smaller than 7 nanometers. Yeah, that's a good thing. Even though they were very unhappy about it, and the founder of TSMC, Maurice Chang, he said that, oh, the globalization is dead. This is bad because the company raised to its power and became as developed under globalization. But this is, again, I think this is wrong. What globalization brought to the world is we're not having any strong industries in the democratic countries, and everything is being manufactured in China. And the global pandemic showed it that even things like vitamin C or aspirin or like the basic PPEs like masks and stuff like that had to be imported from China, the country where the virus came from. So this is dangerous, and that's extremely dangerous. And the globalization only made China strong and made everyone else weaker. And right now, China is projecting power. China is buying out the states all around the world. China is doing everything it can to subvert and to make the whole world obedient towards them. That's the problem. That's the problem. We have to do something about it. And start with cutting ties. And again, I tell my every single Taiwanese friend, including those who do business in China, I just say one thing. Which one is bigger, China or the world? 1.4 billion people or 7 other billion people? Of course the world is bigger. And many of my friends who are doing business in Taiwan, and they had their main customers in the United States, everybody is saying that business is as good as has ever been, and even better, because including those traditional industries, like furniture, for example, Americans are being discouraged to buy from China, to buy furniture from China, and that's why they choose different sources, like Taiwan, like Indonesia, like Vietnam, like anywhere else. And this is good. And I think with time, even though right now, yeah, TSMC will lose its clients in China, maybe their stocks will go a little bit down, but it will bounce up later on. It will bounce back. And we just have to understand one thing, that the world is living right now in a very similar situation to the Cold War. We have 2 main camps. And we see which camps are these. We have the democratic camp, and we have the totalitarian camp. The democratic camp, of course, the United States, Canada, the European Union, the UK, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, India. And we have the countries that are aligning themselves with China, with Russia, with Iran, with North Korea. So you're either with the democracies or you're with totalitarian countries. So you have to make a choice. And the sooner you understand that, the lesser you lose, money-wise especially. Uh, if you can leave China now, do that. Evacuate all of your resources, and even if you cannot evacuate, just leave, because your life might be in danger. Because that's not the state where you can live freely, right? Or have your business ideas actually being implemented, because they steal from you. They steal your technology. They steal everything. That's the thing. Then it's very good news for Taiwan, but Taiwan still has to take its defense seriously, and to actually show the United States and the democratic allies that Taiwan is a very good partner that is worth cooperating with. And I think they're doing that, and everything will be fine. So if you have a choice, invest in Taiwan. Of course, don't invest in China. So yeah, and talking about the World War III, that's what I started with. Then we moved a little bit to the economy and to the coercion part of that. We have all of those wars around the world, and they're interconnected. The question is, if China will attack. China will attack someone eventually. It could be India. They have very serious conflict with India. It could be the Philippines, and it could be Taiwan. So the only thing we can do right now is to prepare, to brace ourselves, to invest in our military, and to let China know that we will fight back. And only if we do that can we protect ourselves. If China thinks that, oh, Taiwanese people they don't want to fight, right? If there is like that kind of notion, we'll have a problem. Because you'll remember, why did the United States lose in Vietnam? The US had to withdraw its troops from Vietnam, not because the United States Army was weak. No. The biggest reason for that was internal pressure and public opinion within the United States, right? Same thing, and Chinese propaganda will do that. They will say that, oh, people on both sides of the strait are Chinese. People in Taiwan are not willing to fight. They want to become a part of China. Something like that. It will actually create a big public pressure in the United States. We have to prevent that. And the main role here is for the Taiwanese people to let Americans in the world know, no. We're fighting together. We're in this together. And recently there was that very good report by the CSIS. They had that they were writing about the possibility of the next war coming in the Indo-Pacific area, right? And for the United States Army to be able to provide Taiwan with all the necessary support, they will have to spend around 1 month to actually bring the troops to Taiwan. For China to attack Taiwan, to be ready, according to the CCP's own position, they will need time until 2027. Basically, right, it would be like right in the middle of Trump's administration, right? Right in that Trump's second term, right? So that actually that explains a lot. And it means that right now both Taiwan and the United States first have to prepare. And we all know that Taiwan just has to stay strong and protect itself for 1 month, 1 whole month. And here, the whole preparation should be actually focused on that. Before the Americans come, Taiwan should withstand China's aggression. And this is also what Americans have to do, and the United States Army has to do, is to actually supervise and see if Taiwan has the capability of protecting itself from China's aggression for 1 month before the US troops come. So that's a good thing. On the other hand, we have like people like from the Democrat side of that political opinions. They say, oh, no, we don't need as much time, we will come faster. But I think it's always better to overestimate your enemy and underestimate yourself to just have a better preparation. So, answering this question, if the world is gonna fight in the Third World War? I have an answer. We are fighting in the Third World War already. And we have to do our best to protect ourselves and to protect our allies. And our partners in the Indo-Pacific really rely on our help. And it's also that's what I tell my Taiwanese viewers on my Mandarin channel, that Taiwan has to show Americans that Taiwan is willing to fight. And that's the thing I'm telling my American friends. America has to show Taiwan that America is willing to protect. I'm optimistic. Uh, Looking at the new administration, I think there are many people who are understanding the whole state of affairs and how dangerous is China. That's a good thing. We have people like Waltz, we have people like Rubio, we have people like Doug Burgum. That's amazing. Um, let's just see how it goes. Also, I think even Vivek Ramaswamy is pretty friendly towards Taiwan, and he said that they will launch an investigation to the origins of the virus. Like, that's good. That's good. Most of them are China hawks. Amazing. That's great. So I'm really looking forward to it. And it would have been much worse if the Democrats got elected this time. I don't think Kamala Harris has any understanding of the state of affairs in the Indo-Pacific region. When she was asked who is the main enemy of the United States, main competitor, she said it was Iran. They're not the main, like, for sure. The main challenger is in China. And the worst thing, when she was asked what should the United States do if Taiwan gets attacked, she said, we have one China policy. What is one China policy about? Do you guys know what is one China policy about? Easy. First, it's about protecting the status quo. If China attacks Taiwan, there is no more status quo. So why are you talking about one China policies, right? That just shows that she's not concerned about those issues. And with the state of the United States Department of Defense, that constant focus on the DEI issues and projection of weakness, yeah, Taiwan would have been in a big problem if Kamala got elected. But we have Trump, and that's a good thing, in my opinion. It's a good thing for Taiwan. I don't know if it will turn out to be a good thing for Ukraine, because he was very skeptical towards Ukraine. But looking at people like Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, Doug Burgum, who are very friendly towards Ukraine, I think it's not going to be as bad, and Trump doesn't like to lose. He also is not going to lose to Russia. that's him also. So I'm feeling optimistic towards Taiwan, optimistic towards Israel, a little bit cautious towards Ukraine. I hope that Ukraine wins, and I wish Ukrainian people all the best. They should prevail, and they will prevail, and they also should join the European Union, NATO. Like, they should have their security guarantees, and they have to be protected, and they're fighting for our freedom. So, but yeah, I'm cautious about Trump's rhetoric towards Ukraine, that's for sure. I would have been very worried about Taiwan and Israel if Kamala got elected, though. So it's like, no one is perfect here. And yeah, talking about Taiwan, it's going to be a very productive couple of months ahead of me. I'm going to take part in many of the Taiwanese TV shows. I'm also going to host my own show on Shangbao. We're going to start filming in 2 weeks, so like, also feeling very, very happy about it. And yeah, seeing a lot of friends, very lovely weather. I think the best time to visit Taiwan is basically November, December, early January. It's beautiful. And let me tell you one thing. If you guys like coffee, the best coffee culture, in my opinion, is in Taiwan. It's even superior to what's going on, like, in Seattle and in the United States. But that's my preference. I really don't like European coffee. I think Germans are bad at coffee. The worst coffee I ever had was in Italy. I don't like Italian coffee. Like, it's bitter as tears of my grandma. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate Italian coffee. I hate French coffee. I hate what Germans drink and call it coffee. There are good places in Poland that have like more American style coffee, but I think it's always overburned, and the beans they choose is very meh. Coffee is good in the UK though, and Americans have very good coffee, but the best coffee I ever had in my life is in Taiwan. And Taiwan, they also grow their own coffee beans. Amazing. In the Kuken area that's in central Taiwan, in Yunlin, it's very good. And wherever you go, there are very good like coffee spots like Kama Coffee and Louisa Coffee. And I'm gonna have another cup of coffee right now. So I think we'll just go to the coffee shop together. I'm gonna buy myself coffee. And yeah, we're gonna finish the live stream for today. And I hope to do more of these English streams talking about the international politics and the state of affairs. And also what's going on in Taiwan. Because there are many concerned people in Taiwan. They're feeling skeptical about the United States coming and helping Taiwan. And that's also what I do. I'm trying to fight back against that Ameri skepticism. Last time I've been talking to Miles Yu from Hudson Institute. I interviewed him and asked him precisely to actually explain that Taiwanese people don't have to worry about the United States' willingness to help Taiwan, because Taiwan is in United States' core interests. Taiwan, if you look like strategically, it's in the most important area of the entire Indo-Pacific region. First of all, if Taiwan gets occupied, Chinese submarines will be able to go into like the deep waters of the Pacific Ocean. That's not what the United States wants. Next up, Hawaii, basically, the United States territory, or Guam, which is even closer. That's the first thing. Secondly, the United States' key allies like Korea, like Japan, will be also impacted. It will be also impacted by the possible invasion of Taiwan. Like all trade routes will be disrupted, and it would be a catastrophe. And if Taiwan gets occupied, Japanese they will not trust in the United States support. Like never. Same thing with Korea. And the United States is doing its best to protect Taiwan already, sending, not necessarily to Taiwan directly, but for example, like some time ago, like some of those like pro-blue Taiwanese experts were saying like, oh, the United States should provide us with F-35s. But there are some concerns regarding like the technology leaking by those blue people to China. That probably, I'm not sure if it was the main reason, but first of all, Taiwan is more suitable for F-16s, and there's a modified version of F-16 which is based here in Taiwan. But for F-35s, you have like the largest amount of F-35s in Okinawa, in Japan, very close. You also have nuclear submarines in Korea. You also have Philippines being protected by the United States. So all of the United States allies around Taiwan have all the necessary equipment. And it is very important to diversify. In case Taiwan gets attacked, you can bring those different kinds of fighter jets, submarines, military vessels to protect Taiwan from those neighboring nations. It would be probably the best idea and the best opportunity to diversify like that and actually create a very complete network, like protective network around Taiwan. So there is nothing to worry about, and those Ameri-skepticism claims are baseless. The only thing Taiwanese should be worried about is about the possibility of cooperation of the United States with China and misinterpretation of the United States' willingness to cooperate by the Chinese as weakness. That's the biggest problem, because if this could lead to catastrophe, because those totalitarian states understand only the language of force. So you should let them know. Just you touch Taiwan, tomorrow you will probably just the CCP will disappear. So yeah, again, I think for Taiwanese people there is nothing to worry about, and the United States is very supportive, as never before, actually. Secondly, cooperation with the European Union states is also growing. Taiwan has very good friends in countries like Czech Republic, like Lithuania, like Poland, where actually the Polish government has been very friendly and very supportive of Taiwanese. Then, well, there is Germany. I really don't think that Germany is a very reliable partner, and I think that for the TSMC to invest in Germany was the wrong decision. They should have done that in Czech Republic. It would have been better, but whatever. There is also like, I really don't agree with the notion that TSMC is Taiwan's holy protective mountain. This is not the thing. TSMC is a privately run business. The only thing that they think about is not the well-being of the Taiwanese people. It's about having more profit and doing business with whomever they think is suitable to do business with. So that's why when Taiwan sent Maurice Chang to APEC, I think it was the wrong decision. Like the guy they sent this time, Lin Xinyi, is a more suitable person, as he is a former government official. You shouldn't send any business people that are not directly working for the government or used to work for the government as your representatives of your states. It just sends the wrong signals. And I think that Taiwan is learning on its mistakes right now. And just, there is really nothing to worry about. I'm very optimistic. And the only thing that we should be vigilant, and we really have to fight against the China's infiltration. That's the core thing. And if Taiwan does that, the things will only turn better. Next year, no, like in 2 years, in around 2 years' time, there's going to be like the next election in Taiwan. It's mayoral and like the local elections, like local city councils elections. Right now, most of the local governments in Taiwan are controlled by the Blue Party, by the KMT. Let's see how the Taiwanese people vote this time, because what the legislature right now, unfortunately, is very, it's not very beneficial for the Taiwanese allies, like the state of the current legislature, with the KMT party, which is pro-Chinese, and with the TPP party, which is also pro-Chinese, and is involved in very big corruption scandal right now with their party chairman is being detained right now, and he'll probably go to jail. There is a very high possibility of that. Yeah, if they vote for KMT again, that's not gonna be a good thing. So but people vote for KMT because they underestimate China sometimes, and it is very important for us, the people from the free world, to actually explain what's going on. And we have two responsibilities: first, to talk to people in our countries and let them know how dangerous China is, and secondly, to talk to Taiwanese people and let them know that we are reliable. We're reliable partners. I think Czech Republic has been doing a very good job in that sphere. So already, let me read some comments and we'll end today's stream. Pete, oh yeah, thank you so much for taking part in this live stream. Let's hope the Taiwanese really have to think, though, that the US is on our side. Yeah, that's the point. These products and software need to be banned. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that has nothing to do with the free market, because China doesn't have free market on its own. I am 100% libertarian. We talk about domestic economy, but not every country is very libertarian towards its own businesses, right? And with China basically controlling, like the government controlling everything there, we have to be very vigilant about anything that comes from that country. So I agree with that idea that outbound you should have tariffs, yeah, but inside of your state you shouldn't have any taxes. Just impose tariffs, not taxes on your people. Okay, then let's see. Nice to meet you before. Lao Zheng, hello. Good to see you here. Okay, hope we can see Taiwan will defeat China and they will make the federal state of Taiwan. What do you think? Federal? Taiwan, Taiwan is not huge. It's not a big country that should have like something like federal government. It's, you see, like the United States is an enormously large country, so they have the federalism, right? You probably know what federalism means, right? With each of the states having like basically acting as its own state within the union. Taiwan is an independent country. It's a republican state. It's a republic. So no, I don't think that there is a need for any kind of federalism within Taiwan. If China should become a federal state, like what those Go and Gui people say, well, you know, like Miles Guo, I don't think so. I think China shouldn't be a single state, like per se. There should be many states instead of what we're having as China right now. I agree with the former president of Taiwan, Li Denghui, who said that Taiwan should be China should be split into seven different states. Yeah, this should what should be in China instead of federalism, because they're too different culturally, and they're also still colonized parts of that are being controlled by China, like Tibet. Tibet is a Chinese colony. It's not. They used to have their own statehood, or East Turkestan. They also used to have their own thing, but they got occupied by China. So first of all, I'm for decolonization of China. I'm for all of those states having their own sovereignty, being its own thing, its own government, everything. And then for China to, if they cannot function as a single state, if they become a totalitarian hellhole, it's better have like many different states. Some of them might be democratic, might become democratic with time. It's also like a very long time will be needed. I mean, China will have to go through a very long decommunization process. Like even with Germany, with their denazification, like with the reforms, basically starting having an effect only in the 60s, like almost like 20 years after the Second World War. With China, it will probably take as long to actually start changing for the best. Because like with the former Nazi Germany, Germans didn't believe that their government was as evil. They were denying like human rights violations, they were denying Holocaust. So, and it took a very long time and very comprehensive reforms to actually let the German people understand and actually take on the responsibility for what has been going on in their country. And here, when the people say like you should differentiate the communist regime, the CCP, from the Chinese people, yes, of course, Chinese people basically they don't have any rights within their own state. But do Chinese people have a responsibility? Not a guilt. It's not guilt. They're not guilty of what the CCP has done, but are they responsible for their government? And to which extent? That's a very good question. Because I think the people in those totalitarian states, they have a certain degree of responsibility. For example, those CCP supporters, because they are acting vocally, and we shouldn't think of the people in those countries like Russia, China, or whatever, as like little children that cannot take any responsibility for their doings. They're not guilty of what their government is doing. That's what I'm highlighting it once again. There is no guilt, but is there responsibility? And should they learn about what the CCP has been doing to the people around the world? Yes, they do. They should learn about it, and they have to take on this responsibility to actually prevent the new CCP coming when the CCP dies, right? That's my opinion. You might agree with that, you might not agree with that, but I think that there is a certain degree of responsibility. Okay, let's see if there are any more comments. This is our year 1776 now. Pete, I don't think that there is a 1776 in terms of Taiwan, because Taiwan has been running its own independent government for a very long time. For a very long time. Like after the Second World War, like if we look at the first democratic elections in Taiwan, 1996, 2006, 2000, like it's almost 2016. It's almost 30 years since Taiwan became a democracy. I don't think that there is a need for, because 1776 was a movement against the British colonialism in the United, in the colonies. People didn't want to be a part of the British Empire anymore. They wanted to have their own thing, their own state, and have their own experiment in running a union of states with different mindsets and that have a democratic federal republic. That's amazing. But Taiwan is not being colonized by anyone, even though, yes, there is like that ROC, which doesn't have a legitimacy in Taiwan per se, because after the Second World War, it was the rise. ROC came actually as occupiers. But right now, the ROC that is in Taiwan right now, and that used to be in 1949 and 1947, that committed the 228 massacre, there are different entities, basically. Right now, the ROC's officials are being elected by the Taiwanese people. And what Taiwan needs is a democratic transformation, and not particularly signing a declaration of independence. No, Taiwan needs to transform its former ROC institutions into something that fits Taiwan more. Amend constitution, change the name of the state that represents the Taiwanese people. Because formally speaking, it is a democracy already. it just has the wrong name. It shouldn't be called ROC, it should be called Taiwan. And that's it. I think it's not, because if you say that's the 1776 moment in Taiwan, it would imply that Taiwan is being colonized. I don't think that you're wrong, but it's like two different things. It's just two different things. For example, East Turkestan should have its 1776 moment, or Tibet should have its 1776 moment. But it still won't be accurate to say like that, because they used to have their own statehoods. China has to have its own 1776 moment and rise up against the CCP colonizers. This is more. This is probably more suitable, but yeah. Still, I appreciate. I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. And there is a need for such a transformation in Taiwan. Still, for now, it's already a very vibrant democratic state. It just needs to have more of that country, like in Mandarin they say 国家正常化, country normalization, to basically amend constitution, amend the laws, and to make Taiwan on par with the other democratic states. Like not, because just it shouldn't be called Republic of China, and the constitution should not actually claim like entirety of China, and then what else, like all other countries like Mongolia, Vietnam, India, and Russia, like whatever. Because even like Russian propaganda, they use Taiwanese, like the ROC constitution, saying that Taiwan is claiming the entirety of China, that you shouldn't do that. They're also claiming like the part of Russia, and so on and so forth. Like that gives the wrong impression. It should be called Taiwan for sure. Yeah, absolutely. absolutely. Okay, so I've been streaming for like around an hour already. Gonna have some dumplings. And yeah, gonna have some dumplings right now and maybe a cup of coffee. We'll probably finish live stream here. I really don't like eating and streaming. Probably won't make people around me comfortable. But yeah, look, it's a lovely city, very busy, very, very vibrant. You see those, as I said, like those enormously big buildings, high rises, and right next to those buildings, there's such a lovely park. Hello, everybody. Hi, William. Sorry, but I'm finishing the live stream right now. Yeah. So, guys, have a great Sunday. Enjoy your day. Have some good time with your families. And yeah, let's stay in touch. I'm gonna have my lunch right now. 好，拜拜，再见. That means see you next week in Taiwanese. Cheers, guys.